These are the strongest Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield, I think. A lot of you have been saying you want to see which Pokemon could be overpowered in Pokemon Sword and Shield in a competitive manner. I don't know if any of those comments were actually directed at me, but hey, here we are together, so there's no turning back. This looks exclusively at the new Pokemon who could stand their ground against a fleet of upcoming challengers, and doesn't include returning Pokemon from past generations, since those might be a bit easier to eyeball as the old town powerhouses compared to the new ones when guessing which Pokemon will be making it into OU, or at least reaching it. Some of the earlier picks in this list are a bit on the fence, but powerful in their own competitive regard, as there are very few choices to be given in the Galarian Pokedex. But I do hope you enjoy, and thanks for being here. On we go. Number 10. Corvonite. Corvonite seems like the go-to pickup for an early game Pokemon you can journey through the entire game with and still bring into battle later on for your competitive matches. The usual Skarmory comparison applies, although it doesn't have spikes and it's generally less toxic. You've got a primary defensive stat with 105 defense and 85 special defense, along with some nice HP at 98. So all around it has a decent chance to tank out some hits, along with its steel flying typing not being strongly affected by too many types. Pretty solid overall. You can probably just cut down the special attack for any other stat you'd like to raise as well. I don't think it'll be early X and Y Talonflame OU, possibly nearing the popularity of it, but out of most starting bird Pokemon, you've got a clear top dog here. Moveset is a little tricky for this guy. You've got moves like Brave Bird, Drill Peck, Taunt, Iron Head, Rest, and Swagger. Even Light Screen and Reflect are considerations here, but there are some better Pokemon for that. You can move those moves around to suit your surrounding team, but my clear as day build for Corvonite is Assurance, Attract, Fake Tears, and U-Turn, so you can attract your opponent, assure them, immediately start to cry, and then U-turn away. And while this might not seem like the most competitively sound build, it's more for the dominance and the emotional battle of wits, as even though the attraction may not stick, that Pokemon will remember this. Don't do that, don't use that build. Number 9. Alcremie. Alcremie seems like a decent new utility Pokemon added in Generation 8, and looks to be a solid competitive pick. Its ability Sweet Veil presents itself in ally Pokemon from falling asleep, so it can let you rest easy from not having to fall asleep, unless you're dealing with something along the lines of Mold Breaker. It's got some really high special defense at 121, and really nice special attack with 110, so you can just drop the attack and boost anything you like. It's another Pokemon with a large amount of status moves to set things up, and even some things like Misty Terrain and Aromatherapy if you're needing some preparation for the rest of your team. It seems like a good pickup to counter against dragons that aren't Duraludon, but even the special defense would make a decent wall and possibly allow you to get off some recovers. Your damaging move choices are mostly between Grass, Psychic Fairy, and Fire, which looks good since Mystical Fire can lower their special attack. I mean, you could teach Tri-Attack if you want things to be normal, but the other choices are pretty stellar in comparison. I have seen some decent uses of Wonder Room, and while it is a very situational pickup, it's something to keep in mind. Number 8. Poltergeist. Poltergeist seems like a real sleeper pick for this generation. While I don't think it's the sweeper pick for this generation, it has incredibly high special attack, soaring past even Gengar. Its highest two stats are special attack at 134 and special defense at 114. With the 70 in speed, so you'll be relying on a few things like slower Pokemon and specific matchups to get in those hard-hitting special attacks. You've got your Shadow Balls and Will-O-Wisp to rely on, and you can even call for Tea Time. Not the move, just ask your opponent if you want to have tea instead in case I'm wrong and you can't actually win with this guy. The later Pokemon on this list are the real aces, but I definitely had a hard time picking out what might be good in the first few sections because the new Gen 8 Pokemon aren't the easiest to read, and some seem a bit more on the casually appealing side. But this Teapot has some crazy special attack, so it is very powerful in that regard for just being one evolution. It also has some amazing setup moves to use such as Shell Smash, Nasty Plot, and even Baton Pass if you're up for that. So those aspects could really bring it up the list in terms of power, and it may be marked a little low here, even if it may look a little bit silly as this Teapot. It's a good pickup to mess around with if you want to add in a solo ghost type on your team, but with reoccurring characters like regular Gengar dropping to UU, it may take a little bit extra to have this heavy special attacker rival a high tier spot, but the little added stat bonus moves could make it a real hidden boss of this generation. Number 7. Corsola. Here's where the real competitors come into play. Corsola is the new evolution of Galarian Corsola, and while it may look like it's in pain, it's here to bring the pain. Corsola has the highest special attack in this list of Generation 8 Pokemon, with only Eternatus matching it at 140 base special attack. It also has some crazy special defense with 130 base. The problem here is its incredibly low speed, with very few fully evolved Pokemon rivaling that small number. Like Greedent somehow does with only 20 speed, which has gone down from Squavish 25, but Corsola's slow stack can be allowed to be used against others with some Trick Room shenanigans. You could even do some setups with Calm Mind if you want to boost that 50 defense to set up some sweeps, along with choices like Destiny Bond, Confused Ray, Water Pulse if you're feeling lucky, or Ancient Power if gambling is just a thing of your present teams. You've got some decent move choices to choose between offensive and defensive builds, but you'll be needing someone else to set up the Trick Room as it can't learn it itself. Perish Body is also a super neat ability to play around with, where if it gets hit by a move that makes direct contact, the Pokemon and the attacker will faint after 3 turns unless they're switched out. So a battle of chicken with death. Another decent mono-type ghost, but with more swing in its steps, unless it's running because it's actually really slow. Number 6, Inteleon. Inteleon seems like a pretty solid special attacker. 125 in that with 120 base speed, so it's a pretty fast slithering lizard thing. The pure water typing isn't too bad, and its hidden ability Sniper can give you some extra oomph on those critical hits with it raising them to 225%, or Torrent if you can manage your HP. Torrent is always a plus. It has a somewhat lacking move pool, but a few good special attacks to choose from in the Ice, Water, and Ghost categories. I want to bring in Cinderace for this section as well, as I can see Inteleon being decent, but Cinderace has a really good array of choices. They marked its speed down by just 1 point compared to Inteleon with 119. And jumps into the physical attacker category with 116 of that. You get a sick physical fire move with Pyre Ball, but the real addition comes from its ability Libero, that changes its type to the move it's about to use, giving any attacking move being used some extra stab bonus. It's a decent choice with a good variety of moves to use for that rabbit, so both are looking to be solid pickups. Number 5. Just wanted to take this midsection to honor the Pokemon I didn't include in the list, and seem like decent additions to try out for competitive battles, but seem a bit on the harder side of things with move pool and setups, or are missing a bit of that pizzazz to be the most powerful before we jump into number 5. Hatyrni, Grimmsnarl, Phalanx, who's not actually a bug and I like now that I saw the real animations and not that other video I saw of it, Boltund, and Eldegoss. And with those fading off to the side, number 5 is Dracovish. I was gonna put Barraskewda in here with its ridiculous 136 base speed and 123 base attack for a fish, and it's technically one of the most powerful fish next to like Kyogre or something, but it probably sucks. I mean, I don't think it is going to. I mean, maybe it doesn't. With it seeming like a better version of Inteleon but more physical, I can see it being a Pokemon to try out. But every time I go for a read like this on a glass cannon, it just never ends up well. So here's Dracovish instead. Dracovish definitely seems like the best out of the 4. Good typing, only weak to Fairy and other dragons, has even stats throughout, solid move choices to choose from with everyone's favorite branded physical attack, Earthquake, and even some more bonus damage on Crunch with the ability Strong Draw if you need it. Even having some signature moves like Vicious Rend to fear out the swaps if the opponent has nothing to protect itself with, as it doubles in power if it goes first. It seems like a well-rounded water dragon Pokemon to try out, and the highest chance of being decently good out of the 4 fossils, and a solid pickup on its own. Number 4. Dragapult. We've talked a lot about this being a powerful pickup. The pseudo-legendaries always come in strong with their high stats and great typings. Dragapult rockets into battle with a crazy 142 base speed and 120 attack. You don't really get too much out of its ghost typing in regards to usable moves. You have Phantom Force, but that's about it unless you're splitting off the offensive stats for Shadow Ball. You've got your Outrages and Dragon Claws and a clean dragon to boot up into battle. It's a definite go-to for competitive battles, and can even slide through moves like Substitute and Light Screen with its ability Infiltrator. This is probably the honorary number 1, as I know Dragon Pulse is going to be the first Pokemon people try out. Number 3. Darmanitan. Ice Darmanitan just seems like one of the sickest Pokemon to pull off. You've got your already high attack with 140 base, solid 95 speed, some high HP, and a chance at the lottery with your Fire Ice form Zen mode boosting the attack to 160 and speed to 135. You've got a ton of moves to choose from, both Ice and Fire, along with some other nice physical attacking additions to add in like Superpower. You could even go full out Powerhouse mode with Belly Drum if you get the right setup. It's a huge step up from the regular Darmanitan Zen mode, and the Fire Ice edition is an awesome one to see. This is one of the Pokemon I look forward to seeing the most in competitive battles, and I hope it can go in striking hard. Number 2. I decided to place in one legendary Pokemon who seems like the most powerful out of the 3, as although I know they might just be dropped into Ubers, I definitely foresee a lot of people asking why none of these would be on a most powerful list. So for this section we add in Zation. With the Fairy Steel typing, an insanely high attack at 170, with the highest speed in the game at 148, Zation looks to be the most powerful Pokemon there is. It's already got some nice defensive stats with an evenly high 115 in defense and special defense, but to top it all off, its ability Intrepid Sword gives it an attack boost when entering battles. It's Reverse Intimidate. Its move pool is rather large with a lot of differently typed physical attacks to choose from, and even Sword Zans if you want to reach newer heights in attack. I like this legendary a lot, but I'm imagining it being overly powerful for the competitive category, and we'll see where it goes from there. It is definitely a most powerful Pokemon though. Number 1. Duraludon. This is a Pokemon I see as having the highest chances to become a real powerhouse from this generation. The Steel Dragon typing is a really nice one to have, only being weak to fighting and ground, while walling off some incoming threats. It's a special attacker with 120 in that category, and a defense of 115 steadily closing in, some good speed, some good HP, and it walls out quite a bit of typings. It's a really big change up to a lot of the Solo Dragons that just pop in, but with it being a much rarer typing, it definitely looks to be a solid pickup for a competitive team. You've got some real risky power moves with Draco Meteor and Steel Beam, but some safer pickups in Flash Cannon, Dragon Pulse, and even Dark Pulse. It looks sturdy enough for Draco Meteor to not be the biggest setback, but it'll be a challenge to see how Duraludon fits into the meta and how it'll stand with the returning Pokemon coming to Galar. Well, thanks for watching. It's been a little while since I've looked into team building, and I didn't want to go over too many movesets, but just give a little basic rundown of the Pokemon that seem to be some of the most powerful in this generation. Hope you enjoyed, and check out any of the videos shown to you on the screen right here. Hope to see you back soon, and have a good one. Until next time.